Times Square Mall history began in 1974, when the mall would open. There's not much history behind Times Square Mall in the early days. The mall's original anchors were a Mohar Valley, Missouri-based, on the west side, a JCPenney anchor store, 44,540 square feet store on the south side, and on the eastern anchor with a mall entrance would be a Mammoth department store. And on the most eastern side, with no mall entrance, would be a Super Value grocery store. Other opening day tenants were Hills Brothers Shoes, later known as Payless, Hancock Fabrics, B. Dalton Bookseller, Bird Watson Drug, an A&W Eatery, and more. Some say there was a fashion bug, I'm not sure. In 1978, Mohar would be bought out by Walmart, and Walmart would have a mall entrance. Also, sometime around this time, a one-screen movie theater opened up in the mall. The mall in the 1980s was alive, adding new stores such as Hallmark, Fi, GMC, and Radio Shack. Although I've scavenged for hours, but I still can't find anything about it in the 80s besides that in 1989 the cinema would close. And then in 1990, Walmart relocated to down the road, about 1.3 miles away. Big changes were coming for the mall. In 1998, Sears decided to close their downtown location and open in the former Walmart store, having 74,720 square feet of leasable square footage. In the early 2000s, the mall would hit a little bit of a rough patch, losing Mammoth department store and a little later losing Super Value. But the mall would bounce back in the early 2000s. A Stage store would open in the former Mammoth department store in 2002. They would also make the wall a little bit smaller. They'd push it back more into their tenant for the other one because they didn't want that much area in theirs. In 2003, Stage would buy out the People's brand, and the Stage would turn into a People's in 2004. Also in 2004, Tennessee-based Goodies brand would open up in the former Super Value space, also having no mall access. Around this time, the mall would lose some more tenants, surviving at a rate of about 75% occupancy. Not thriving, but still doing well. In the mid-2000s, nothing much at the mall happened. In 2009, Stage would buy out the Goodies brand and would close the Goodies store because they didn't see why they would have to have 2 stores open at the mall. Anyway, the Stage brand would buy out a ton of brands. In 1997, they bought out Sierra Anthony, which Meadowbrook Mall, Village Square, both had. In 1996, they bought the Ullman's brand. Then they filed for Chapter 11, and then they bought out Peebles in 2003, which Times Square Mall and Meadowbrook have. Then they bought out Goodies, Times Square and Meadowbrook both had. 2017, they bought out Gordman's, Times Square and Meadowbrook had. I didn't realize that Meadowbrook Mall and Times Square Mall had so much in common when it comes to Stage anchor stores. In 2013, the mall would see some big changes. In September, Sears announced that they would close their anchor store at the mall, and by February of 2014, Sears would be gone. But as soon as the Sears left, a huge plan would be brought up by the Sandstone Group, which owned the mall. Their plan was to gut out the inside of the old Sears and to divide the store into 2. Hobby Lobby signed on first, and then it was Ross Dress for Less. But Big Lots also wanted in. So what do? They bulldozed part of the mall for a chain that is about to go out of business, and now I can't see the former Fi because of it, so it's so dumb. They build a store where the business is actually booming. Why can't they build it where the Walmart is? That's like the big area right now. But anyway. In 2015, this envision would actually become true, and Big Lots wouldn't even have a mall entrance. They would demolish the Hallmark, and after they would demolish, and also a Dunham's would open in the former Goodies. Finally completing the anchors back to 100%. In 2017 to 2019, the mall would start to fall apart. More tenants would close. But in 2020, changes were also on the horizon. And one more thing before I leave you to glance at the mall for a little bit. In 2017, Stage bought out the Gordmans and rebranded their whole thing to Gordman. So now the former Mammoth turned Stage, turned Peebles, now turned Gordman's was in that space. I have one question about this mall. It's a little bit weird. Did they run out of tiles when they were finishing and they just used random tiles? I see these random, colored tiles. Why are these here? I mean, I get it because of aesthetics, but did they actually run out of tiles when they were finishing this mall and just never got around to it? I don't know. Tell me what you think. I have a little bit of a surprise for you. So, I brought my camcorder, and I thought, man, the Claire's right here, which, really retro, would look really good. So, you're gonna see that right now. In 3, 2, 1. In May of 2020, Gordmans announced that they would close their anchor store as the whole Stage company filed for bankruptcy and would close every single store. In June, JCPenney announced that they would close their anchor store, and in September, it was gone. Many tenants would close around this time: Rue 21, Hallmark, and more. I wasn't able to find any more stores that closed with that, but I know there were. More bad news came up. Sandstone sold the mall to Namdar Realty. In 2022, Ashley Home Store Outlet opened in the former JCPenney slot, and a Planet Fitness opened in the former Peoples/Stage/Mammoth. And that brings up to it today. So I'm gonna make a map for you guys to see how many anchor name changes and how many anchor changes there's been in this mall. That is, in the one Peebles anchor store, the Mammoth, I think that was 5 if I counted correctly. It went Mammoth, then Stage for one single year, then Peebles, then Gordman's, and then Planet Fitness. JCPenney only changed one time. It was JCPenney, then Ashley. The former Mohar value was Mohar, then Walmart. A cinema opened up right next to it, where the Walmart was, but I'm not going to count that. And then a Sears, and then Hobby Lobby, and then, Ross, maybe even Big Lots if you really want to. Then where Goodies was, there was Super Value, then Goodies, then Dunham's. That's it. So, that's about it. Do you think this mall will thrive again? I mean, seeing how Namdar actually cares somewhat about this mall, and seeing how there's, I would say, a lot of anchors in this mall. I mean, I don't know though. If you guys know anything that you want to share, then tell it to me down in the comment section below. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.